Hello everyone. Today I'd like to talk about how to get started with the Animelee MEX template. For those who don't know, this is the entire Animelee experience. You've got all the graphics, all the UI and HUD, all the costumes, including Kirby hats, and easy ways to add your own Animelee costumes and stages as well. So to begin, make sure you have a Melee 1.02 NTSCU ISO. That is what you should have as a prerequisite for this. And then for the next step, you'll want to make sure you grab the MEX tool. So to do that, just click this link. You want to open this up and select the MEX tool zip and save it to whatever directory that you'd like. And then of course, as is probably self-evident, you will need the MEX template files as well. So scroll all the way down and select right here to download the mod file. So now we have the MEX tool and we have the template files. So let's open up and extract the MEX tool first. I'm going to create a new folder called MEX tool to keep things organized. I'll move everything in there. Alright, then I'm going to extract the template files. And I'm just going to I'm going to create a new folder called MEX template. And I'm going to drag the contents into this folder. Okay, once that's done copying, here all the files are. So now we're going to go and I'm going to delete the zip files because I don't need those anymore. I'm now going to create another window. So now on the left we have our MEX template, Animelee template files, and we're going to open the folder called Create Your ISO here, and you're going to click and drag your Melee ISO from over here, and you're going to drag it over the drag your NTSC file here. This window will pop up and it will take a few minutes to generate. Currently, as of this video's recording, the latest version is 10.1, but it's possible in the future there will be a newer version. So once it is finished, you'll see this message that says done. You can press any key to continue. And you'll notice here, there's a new ISO file right here, and this will be our new ISO from which to build our build. So the next thing you'll want to do is you want to open the MEX tool and select mextool.exe. Make sure that you download the latest update. So on the top right, it will say download update if a download is available to update. If an update is available to download. So we're going to say yes. And that didn't take very long. So now we're going to actually hit File and Open ISO. And we're going to select the ISO that we just generated by dragging and dropping our vanilla Melee file. So click Open here. It's going to take a little bit, and that's going to load everything, and if done correctly, this image should appear. And you can see, if you go to Costumes, you have all the characters here, you have all the various costumes, and all the replacement costumes ready as well. These are all silhouettes for characters you can easily replace. So next, what you want to do is hit File and Export as File System. And I'm going to back out here to this folder, and I'm going to call this Animelee file system. And this is where I'm going to save all my files from the ISO. What's happening right now is you are basically selecting a directory where all your files in your build will live. So if you ever want to make changes to your build, if you want to add stages, if you want to add costumes, things like that, you're going to open the correct folder that you created, which in my case is the Animelee file system folder. And there are two folders within that, and everything lives in the files folder. As you can see, more files are being added to this list because it is currently extracting them from the ISO. That's exactly what we want. And because of the Uncle Punch dynamic stage alts, you have these special folders as well, and that's where you'll put each of the competitive stages. So here, you have Fountain of Dreams, here you have Battlefield, here you have Final Destination, this is Dreamland, this is Pokemon Stadium, and this is Yoshi's Story. So whenever you want to add one of those to the mix, you'll just want to drop the relevant file into the correct folder. So for example, if you want to add another Fountain of Dreams stage, you'll put it in here, and you can see there's already two in here. If you hold L, you'll get the normal Animelee one. If you hold R, you'll get the special remastered version. That's also the Animelee version that Primal created. If you want to have a button to load the stage, you just put that in parentheses. You can use that with A, B, X, Y, L, R. I have L and R as some examples, but you can change it to whatever you'd like. So that gives you a quick overview on how the stages work if you want to add more stages. this is almost done over here. So once it's finished, we'll be ready to kind of add our own custom content. All right, so it is now finished. I'm going to close completely out of this, and I'm going to by hitting close and then closing out of it. I'm going to reopen the MEX tool. And in the future, what you want to do is you want to select Open File System. You don't want to open ISO. You want to maintain a file system. And it's already found it for me, but make sure you find the correct one. If you do, it should say Files and Sys, these two folders. Select this folder. And now you have the same experience you had before, but now you're working in a file system. So now when you make whenever you make changes, let's say like you add more stages into this folder, you're going to want to click File, Export as ISO, and that will basically contain all the changes you made and then save it as an ISO. So I'll demonstrate an example of that now. All right, let's say for example I wanted this version of Battlefield to appear in the rotation of stages when I select Battlefield. All I would do for that is I would download the stage that I want. In this case it's Moonfield, and I would find the file that I need, and it looks like it's Battlefield, so it goes in this folder, and I'm going to paste it. One thing you want to keep in mind with this is you want to make sure that the file names are really short. So if they're too long, the game will crash. So I'm going to call this Moonfield Y. So now if I hold Y and select the stage, I'm always going to get Moonfield. If I don't hold down any buttons, it's going to randomly select between these three. So that's a very minor modification, but that will give you an idea of like how easy it is to make changes to your build. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to hit File, Export as ISO. I'm going to go to the root folder and select Custom Animelee ISO. I'll just call it Custom Animelee Build. And hit Save. It's going to save and export a brand new ISO, which we will see right here. And here it is. Now the next step is setting up Slippy so that it uses this ISO instead of your 1.02 ISO. So to do that, you want to open Slippy. You want to go to Settings up here. And right now, it has the normal 1.02 Melee ISO. We're actually going to change this by hitting Select. We're going to select our new ISO, the custom Melee one that we just generated, and hit Open. And it's going to say that it can't verify this, and that's because it's unknown because it's not a vanilla 1.02 ISO. And the Slippy team would recommend that you don't modify it, and that's fair. But if you want Animelee or you want some derivative thereof, you'll have to settle for this. So if you click Net Play Next, I recommend enabling the HD textures also. So to do that, you'll want to go on the downloaded and template files that you just downloaded and copy this HD textures folder. And next, you'll want to click Configure Dolphin, put it to the side, and you'll also want to click Open Settings folder. So if you go Open Settings, you'll want to go to User, Load, Textures, and make sure there's a folder called GALE01. If there's not, you can create it by hitting the new folder and just typing in the characters and open it up. I have some folders in here already, but you don't need to worry about that. You might also, if you have the HD version of Vanilla Melee, if you have the pack of that, you may have done this before, and just simply paste that folder that you copied earlier, and all of the HD textures included with this build are now in the right place. So now we can close out of this window. We're actually going to do the same thing for the playback dolphin as well. So I'm going to select Open Configure Dolphin and then Open Settings folder. This is another version of Dolphin that's just for your replays. So you want to click User, and again go to Load, and again go to Textures, and again go to this folder. If it doesn't exist, create it, and then paste. So now we have all the folders and files in the right place for HD loading. Now we just have to configure Dolphin and make sure that it's on. On the left, I have my standard, standard play dolphin. On the right, I have my replay dolphin. So on the left, you'll want to click Graphics. And if you want to really get the most out of HD textures, I recommend going to Enhancements and making sure you're at least on 1080p here. And then go to Advanced, select Load Custom Textures, and then also Prefetch Custom Textures. Then click Close. On the right, you'll do the exact same thing. So simply click Graphics. Make sure that under Enhancements, you're at least at 1080p to make full use of it. Go to Advanced, click Load, and then Prefetch Custom Textures. That'll be the smoothest gameplay experience possible. Now we can close out of both of these dolphins. And the very last step is selecting Manage Gecko Codes under NetPlay. And optionally, you can turn on 16:9. Some competitors consider this cheating. I don't feel very strongly about it, and I just want a widescreen experience, mostly for capturing footage. Also do the same thing for the playback version of Dolphin. You can select 16:9 widescreen. Great, now we're all ready to go. So now when you hit play, it'll either launch the game in your Animelee version, the one that you made, or it'll load Dolphin. In my case, it will load Dolphin. So let's give that a try. Now here, I have two options. I can either play, vanilla Melee and get standard vanilla experience, or I can choose the MEX template that I just made. The reason why I have both options is because both of the ISOs are in the same directory, so that's how I'm able to see both of those options. So with that in mind, I'm going to select this new one, and we'll see if it works.
Survival.
All right, this looks correct. If I cycle through this, I should see a bunch of new costumes as well, which I do, and all of the silhouette placeholder costumes as well. So that looks like it worked. The other thing to test, of course, is if the stage that I added works as well. So I'll pick one of the new costumes for Fox.
Fox. Ganondorf.
And I'll, let's say, pick versus Kirby. And let's see if I hold Y, if we get the blue battlefield stage that we added to our build.
Ready?
And check it out, we do. So this, if you're setting up your game and you hold Y and you don't get this stage, well, that's because, you didn't add it to your build. This does not come with the game normally, but because I added it myself, it's an option for me. And as you'll see, the HUD looks a lot different than standard Melee, and that's all done on purpose. The timer is different as well. Even the things like the pause screen are stylistically different to be more minimal and kind of fit the Animelee aesthetic more. So anyway, I know this was a bit longer of a tutorial, but I wanted to make sure and cover everything. So hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if you have any questions. Of course, you can join my Discord if you have any issues setting this up. And as always, enjoy your Melee games and your modded Melee as well. Massive shout out, of course, to everyone involved in making this build happen. We have, of course, Primal for making Animelee in the first place. We also have the Diet Melee team responsible for the Crystal Melee costumes. We have Uncle Punch, who made the dynamic alternative stages, which is an amazing feature that recently got an update and is definitely worth checking out. Of course, we have a bunch of other individual contributors who made Melee shields, who made the shine, who made a lot of these costumes. So make sure you look at this list for the full gambit of credits. And then also, there are a bunch of tutorials out there for replacing costumes for MEX, so I won't necessarily cover all the intricacies of that, but I will say one comment about replacing costumes. Anything with EX in the title, I've specifically named costumes beyond the normal number of costumes with EX in the name. These should all have vanilla default neutral skin costumes, skeletons. And by that, I mean if you, for example, with Captain Falcon, if all of these EX slots are actually all based on neutral Falcon, because if they're not, you will get a desync. And the reason for that is if you're playing with someone, you're running a vanilla version of Melee, if you play, let's say, EX Gray, to that player, you're actually playing neutral Falcon. The way that MEX works with Slippy is if you pick any additional costume, it just thinks you're default, the character that you are. So what that means is the skeleton must be the same as this one. Now I'm really done for real. I hope you enjoy all these modifications, and I'll talk to you guys on the next video.